Very good morning to you all, and welcome to the CPSE-Level Vendor Development event, which is organized by MSME DFO in association with MCCIA. So I'd like to welcome today's speakers. We have Mr. Ruchir Patil, AGM Program Management from Godrej Aerospace. We also have senior officials, Group Captain Sriram, who's the Chief of Planning at 9BRD. And with him, we have Wing Commander Pritish Mishra, Senior Production Engineer, Indigenization, also from 9BRD. So we will start today's presentation with Mr. Ruchir's session. He'll be talking about opportunities for the industries with Godrej Aerospace, and he'll also be explaining about what Godrej Aerospace does and opportunities for the industries basically, and probably some aspects about the quality as well as vendor registration process and all. So over to you, Mr. Ruchir.
Good morning. Am I audible in the back? Thank you. Let me start by thanking MCCIA for arranging this wonderful interface for industry partners. So my name is Ruchir Patil. I manage the new product development as well as sourcing for one of the verticals in Godrej Aerospace. I'll be talking about what we do in Godrej Aerospace, what are the different products that we manufacture, what are the opportunities that comes as a part of these projects, and how is the vendor registration process. So let me start by giving you kind of it's a moment of pride for us. We are running in 125th year this year particularly. So more than 100-year-old company, 1.1 billion lives we touch every day. We are spread across more than now 1,600 acres in the heart of Mumbai. Most of the greenery, what you see is the mangroves. More than 50% are towards the environmental preservation. And remaining are our plants, what you can see here. Godrej expanding globally, we are more than 60 countries already covered. And more than 80 nations, we have our representative offices. As far as the diversity is concerned in the product line, there is a saying in Godrej, from securing your homes by locks and safe to securing nations by the missile system and the space systems, we do everything in between. So these are our top industrial product business. As I said, we are in aerospace. I'll be talking more about this particular business. We are also in the process equipments for columns, reactors, pressure vessels. We are in precision engineering systems where we do the ground level defense systems. And we are into toolings for automobiles as well as the press tool and dies for the molding, plastic moldings. Coming to Godrej Aerospace, we are about 20,000 square meters area. We are into basically three verticals: space, defense, and aircraft. More than 700 engineers. The investment are now in exceed of 50 million in last more than a decade or so. Currently, the revenues projections are 45 million. We are expected to cross more than 50 million. We are, of course, a AS9100 company, which is a basic requirement for aerospace. We also have our own testing labs. We have NADCAP for almost all the special processes, including heat treatment, surface treatment, non-destructive testing. Would like to highlight here, these processes are available for our competitors, other industry partners also. We are also into composites, elastomer seals. Coming specifically to the verticals where we operate, defense, where we do airframe assemblies, solid motor casings, the control components for the avionics as well as the LRU system. under space, we manufacture liquid engines for the propulsion systems for PSLV and GSLV. We also do the thrusters for the satellites, and we do the stage control components for the flight stages. As far as aircraft parts are concerned, we primarily work on the commercial aircraft engine as well as the nacelle and aerostructure parts. We work with major OEMs like GE, Honeywell, Safran, Rolls-Royce on the sheet metal as well as the tubings and some line replaceable units. Before I get into the actual product line, there's some snippets of the most watched event, that's a budget. And what was in it for us? I took some of the relevant points out of it. So if you see defense, as far as the defense system is concerned, we talked about 5.94 lakh crore budget in this, which is a jump of 13% over the last year. Most of the budget, if you really see, are in the capital outlay pertaining to the modernization of the current weapon system, which is a good news for most of us. Space, once again, the allocation has increased. I think it is almost increased by 19% or so into the new program. So this year, India will be launching Gaganyaan, our trials for the manned mission. We are also going to launch the lunar mission. So some of the big projects from ISRO, which are planned this year. And of course, aircraft, the new airport building, the infrastructure towards new airport, and most importantly, the MRO, where the LRUs and other products are repeatedly used. So that's another good news from the budget for us. Coming very specifically to defense. In defense, we primarily work on the missile system. We manufacture the airframe system for BrahMos missile, including wing, fin, and nose cap, and the booster system. On the other side, the light combat aircraft, we do the primary and secondary actuator system for LCA. And we also do some pods and pylons for import, for the export purpose. So coming to BrahMos, right from the tip to the end engine, we do more than 1,200 different types of parts and the subsystem. And this complete airframe system, including the wing fin, is handed over to DRDL. Currently, we have done more than 250 such systems already delivered. And we are working on the next generation engine system. As far as the primary controlled actuator for LCA, we do the LO1 as well as the radar actuator, which consists of very high precision machine parts. The primary material of construction is SS. There are some inconels and titanium part as well. I'll come to those parts subsequently. So these are some of the critical parts, the servo system, the control manifolds. These are the very critical parts which we are currently planning to outsource. Coming to reconnaissance pods, we currently do this for one of the company in Israel. Primary, once again, the construction is aluminum. From the solid plates, these parts are hogged out and assembled together. So if I have to summarize the outsourcing opportunities, currently we have a requirement of more than 1.5 lakhs hour for machining in terms of turning, milling, precision grinding for defense. Suppliers with very specific capabilities like lapping, grinding, vacuum heat treatment, brazing are also welcome. We are looking for those capacities as well. Coming to space, that's a second vertical. We do the Earth storable engines. That is the first stage Vikas engine, second stage Vikas engine, the cryogenic engine, and we are now working on a semi-cryogenic engine. We also do a lot of satellite thruster parts. So the moon mission, what we had, after almost 292 days, at a click of a button, the thrusters what we manufactured started at a fraction of minute, and we could complete those missions. So that kind of a precision parts that we manufacture. So just to give you the details. So first in PSLV, the first stage and second stage engines and the satellite thruster. In GSLV, similarly, the first, second, third stage engines, 2 Vikas engine, which is a French Viking engine, and the cryogenic engine. So this is what we manufacture. And currently we are developing the L110 as well as the second stage C20 engine for the next generation of Mark III. That is the 2-stage to space. So this is a range of engine that we do, right? From 10 Newton thrust, which is powering the satellites into orbit, to 80 ton is what currently we have already manufactured, and 200 ton semi-cryogenic engine is under development. We also do a lot of solid propellant casings. So more than 300 casings has been already delivered for LRSAM. More than 10 numbers are already delivered for the program Air Defense. And currently we are working on the booster for BrahMos. So some of the critical parts here, what we are looking for outsourcing, made out of Marajing steel. The critical machine parts, very thin wall parts. The wall, the thinnest wall will be 0.1 to 0.5. We also are requirement of titanium and SS321 machining parts and subsystems, which is about a dia 650 to 800 mm. There are a lot of 5-axis machining requirements, impellers, blisk, the return channels, what we call. So these are the very critical parts with the accuracy of 0.25, that is 25 micron to 100 micron. There is a very specific requirement of hot forming, hydroforming, and 3-stage deep forming for the copper as well as the steel part. So that's another capability that we are looking for. We already have developed these capabilities in-house, but we are looking for partners to productionize it. So once again, if I have to summarize the outsourcing requirement, we have very close to 70 to 75,000 hours in terms of turning, milling for this particular vertical of space. Coming to the last vertical, that is a commercial aircraft. So we basically, as I said, we do a lot of work with all the major engine OEMs like Rolls-Royce, Honeywell, GE, Safran. Primarily work that we do here is on the sheet metal assemblies, that is brackets, as well as some tubing assembly and duct assemblies. We are also going to move forward on the engine manufacturing in the coming years. So we are also looking for those kind of capabilities. So these are some of the critical parts that currently we manufacture. You can see the brackets as well as the heat shields, accumulators for the aircraft engine. Here, if you see, the machining requirement is between 5 to 10,000 hours per year. Coming to tubings, we do major tubings for the engines as well as the ducts. So the titanium, Inconel, SS, these are the frequently used materials that we use in the tubings. We also have aluminum ducts, which is a next set of product that we are currently developing. That is for the air handling units of the aircraft. So here the forming and tube bending requirement, if you see, something like 2,000, 2,500 hours is required on the tube bending. As I said, we have also started developing line replaceable units. So actuator, valves, pumps, these are the next set of products that we have started developing for defense as well as for commercial aircraft parts. So the major capabilities that we are looking for here is grinding, precision lapping, then the heat treatment, NDT processes. Now coming to what is the expectation for from our partners. So there are specific requirements apart from the machining of the parts. These are the additional requirements that we currently have on the fixtures and the press tools and the functional gauges. So our partners with this capability, surely there is an opportunity available with us. There is another opportunity because most of our products are now moving from build to print to build to spec. So the design and simulation capabilities is something which we are now looking for. We have already started identifying the partners. So this is the next level of opportunity that we will be expanding into. And as I mentioned, the hydroforming and rubber press forming, that's another technology we have started developing. So what are the basic requirements or the basic infra that we expect from our partners? So AS9100 is one basic thing that we have started slowly as a mandatory process or the mandatory requirement from all our partners. A robust infrastructure capability, not only in manufacturing, but in inspection is also must. Then industry good practices is something good to have. Material accounting statements, actually basically following the rules of accounting. It's something as a mandate we are now following. So that is another mandatory requirement that we expect. Understanding and control of counterfeit part. These are all the requirements flow down from the OEM to us, and naturally we expect our partner to follow the same kind of rules and regulation. More emphasis on approaches on the PFMEA, the control plans and VSM is one of the key area that we have identified in last 2 years, and we have started maturing in those processes in our internal plants, and we expect our supplier to have the basic understanding and learn from us or learn, and in fact that is something which is a joint collaboration where we are also open to kind of give the training on these specific areas to our supplier partners, and we have already started from this year to arrange those kind of trainings for our partners. So what is the onboarding process for us? So once we receive the initial introduction from our partners, there is something called shortlisting process where the cross-functional team will visit you. The expert from that particular area will visit you, see the capability. Once you are shortlisted, there will be a non-disclosure agreement will be sent to you. Once you complete the non-disclosure agreement, there is a RFQ process wherein you will receive certain details from our side with the requirements, the drawings, and the relevant documents. And then once you complete that, there will be negotiation and the PO placement. So these are the major milestones that we follow here. The most important part is the audit that is being done. This audit, which is done by Godrej Quality Assurance team, is on the basis of AS9100, plus there are some specific inputs given from OEM, on basis of which we are audited every year, not only for AS, but by this OEM. So all those point of control are transferred to our partners also. So the more control and more maturity will come in our partners also. So that's it from our side. This is my colleague, his contact details. You can contact him for any further information. My contact details are available with Prashant if you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Patil. We'll take the question answers towards the end of the session. So now I would like to request Wing Commander Pritesh Mishra to kindly address the gathering.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Wing Commander Pritesh Mishra. I'm from 9BRD, Air Force Station, Pune. So first of all, I would like to thank MCCIA for giving us an opportunity to address all of you. So basically, for those of you who are not aware, BRD basically stands for Base Repair Depot. A base repair depot basically works under the aegis of Headquarter Maintenance Command in the Indian Air Force. So the Indian Air Force headquarters is located at New Delhi. Our maintenance command is at Nagpur, which basically deals with controls all the BRDs. Now BRD has got an indigenization cell, which I'm looking after at 9BRD Pune. So we are basically responsible for indicing all the items PAN, IAF, in terms of avionics aggregates. Any requirement from any user in terms of avionic aggregates is handled by 9BRD Pune. So as far as Indian Air Force is concerned, we are still having close to 75% equipment of Russian origin. Though we have shifted our base from Russia and slowly started purchasing equipment from US in the form of C-17, C-130 aircraft. Also, we have got equipment from France in terms of the Mirage 2000s, the Rafale. And of course, we have got certain equipment from the Britishers also in terms of the Hawks. In spite of all these things, still 75% of our equipment is of Russian origin. And as you all know, with the present status of the Russia and Ukraine crisis, we are finding it very, very difficult to get the spares from both the countries. And also Air Force is facing lots and lots of obsolescence issues with respect to all these parts. So here I'm standing in front of you to talk about the Indianization and outsourcing requirements of 9VRD Pune. I'll be covering my presentation under the following heads. I'll be talking about what is Indianization in terms of Air Force parlance, the need for Indianization, the basic categories of Indianization in the IAF, the governing policies, the Indianization process as such, some success stories of 9BRD, certain procedures for how the registration of firms are done in the IAF, the future opportunities that exist for the industry at 9BRD, the way ahead before I conclude. Now, the standard definition of Indianization in the IAF parlance is application of technology and utilization of resources available within the country to develop a near airworthy equivalent to the original and ensure reliable supply in the future. Coming to the facets of Indianization in the Air Force parlance, there are basically 6 facets of Indianization in the Indian Air Force. Starting off with refurbishment, this basically means renovation or overhaul of a system. So overall, if we talk about, it can be overhaul of an aero engine, it can be overhaul of the entire aircraft. Then coming to reclamation, reclamation is basically repair of an existing equipment, a spare, any tester, any tool. Life extension. Life extension basically deals with extension of life of aero engines. Unfortunately, presently in India, the extension of life of aero engines has no technological upgradation and availability. So any kind of aero engine upgradation, only the OEM, and in our case, most of the OEMs are from abroad. So they are responsible for giving this life extension of the aero engines. Upgradation, as you are aware, upgradation is of course infusing technology into the existing system and making a modern equipment out of the old equipment available. Substitution is basically replacement of the existing item with a new one. And development basically deals with developing a new equipment which was not available in the Air Force earlier. Now coming to the need for Indianization, basically for self-reliance, boosting of confidence, boosting of morale. It results in lots and lots of foreign exchange savings. Of course, technological assimilation. Then life enhancement of platforms beyond the OEM stipulations. And of course, obsolescence mitigation. In Indianization, the IAF basically gained impetus post breakup of the USSR in the early 90s. The KRA of IAF is in line with mission Atmanirbhar Bharat. The initial focus was basically on simple but critically required items. However, now we have graduated to replacement of and Indianization of LRUs also. Even critically required spares which are not available in HAL and even OEM supported fleet actually have been started now we are indicing it as BRDs. As on date, we have more than 700 vendors registered with the IAF. However, more are needed. For all the critical indonesian requirements, we have this hosted on the Air Force website in airforce.nic.in under the Make in India button. This is updated on a weekly basis. Now, the BRDs of IF are located at various diverse locations. Basically, the BRDs, the base repair depots, are given roles depending on the expertise. Like diverse location-wise, if I talk about 3 BRD is at Chandigarh, we have got 4 BRD at Kanpur, we have 7 BRD at Tughlakabad, Delhi, then we have 9 BRD at Pune, and then we have 11 BRD at Nasik. So basically, various BRDs have different roles, and the role that they are dealing with, the specific requirements are generated from there for that particular fleet. Like for example, 9 BRD deals with avionics and ground communication systems. So all those requirements of PAN IF comes to us. Now, as on date, more than 50,000 items have already been indigenized, and this has resulted in the annual forex savings worth hundreds of crores of rupees. And the present scenario with the war between Russia and Ukraine not coming to an end, we actually require your support. And basically, for you all also, आपदा को अवसर में बदलिए. This is basically for you all to convert this opportunity, convert this crisis into an opportunity. In the Air Force parlance, there are 3 categories of indonization. Firstly, at macro system level, then subsystem level, and finally at sustenance of aircraft and systems. The macro system level is basically dealing with long-term perspective plans. This is dealt at air headquarter level, which is at New Delhi. The examples are Tejas aircraft, the Kaveri aero engine, the Rohini radar, and the Akash missile system. Then we have a subsystem level, which is generally dealt with at command level. However, this is also percolating down slowly to BRDs also. So these are subsystems designed, developed, and manufactured within the country. The success is achieved with active participation of DRDO, defense PSUs, and of course, the private industry. Some of the examples are the radar warning receiver, RWR, the CMDS, that's a countermeasure dispensing system, basically SHAF, some mission computers of all the aircraft, some radio sets, IFF, identification of friend and foe, and aero engines. It is challenging to maintain due to obsolescence issues and of course reduced product support from the OEMs, which are generally foreign based. This is where there are huge opportunities for the industry, because these are lines worth close to, we have 1,000 to 2,000 lines available in BRDs in this particular level. So this is a huge opportunity for the industry in this particular sector. The governing policies that deal with Indian Air Force Indonization is as flashed, basically DDPMS, the DPM 2009, the Defense Acquisition Procedure 2020, the IMTAR 21, and the Manual of Indonization 2017. Now, the process of Indonization in the Air Force, basically there are 4 different verticals on which deal and are involved in this indonization process. First, there is a user, then there is an indonization cell, there is a certification agency, and a quality assurance agency. Now, the user can be sitting anywhere pan India, any Air Force unit. He requires an item, he approaches the BRD who deals with that particular item. Now that indonization cell, which is in that BRD, like the indonization cell, for example, like 4 BRD is in Kanpur, that deals with aero engines. All aircraft aero engines are generally dealt of fighters at 4 BRD Kanpur. Similarly, there is 7 BRD at Delhi, which deals with all missile systems. Then there is 9 BRD Pune, of course us, who deals with avionic items. And of course, then there's 11 BRD at Nasik, which deals with MiG-29 and Su-30 spares. So depending upon the requirement of the user in terms of which item is required by them, they approach that particular BRD for indigenization of the item. Then through the quality assurance process and the certification agency, which is either CEMILAC or the BRD itself, which I'll elaborate further in the next slides, the indigenization process is followed. Now in the Air Force, there are two stages of the process of indigenization. In the stage 1, we basically do a feasibility study and we publish an EOI, expression of interest, in the DevProc site. Based on that, we request budgetary proposals from the firms who come and see the items in the Air Force at the BRD. Based on their assessment of how much money would be required to indigenize this item, they give a budgetary quotation. Based on the budgetary quotation, we take up a case or file which is called the acceptance of necessity. Once this gets approved, we publish the e-tender on the DevProc site. Then we do a technical evaluation of all the bids received. And then on the day of the commercial bid opening, only the bids who have got technically qualified, their bids are opened. Basically, after the commercial bids opening, we get the decision of L1. Then there is a PNC, that's a price negotiation committee at the BRD level, who negotiate on the price of the item. Once the PNC gets frozen, we take up the case of an expenditure angle sanction, that is EAS, and move the file and place the development order to the firm. In the stage 2, the firm submits a prototype of the item which was ordered. Then the functional testing of the item is done at the BRD or the testing agency wherever it's supposed to be sent. If it is an airborne item, then it's supposed to be fitted on the aircraft. Then we send it to that particular Air Force station where that aircraft is flying. Followed by the documentation process, a local certification is given. Generally, this is valid for a period of 3 years. Based on this local certification, PAN IAF, anywhere in India, any Air Force unit, based on this local certification number, can demand your item. Post that, the payment action is undertaken, and in case if after a period of 3 years, in case if the revalidation is required, then we do a revalidation process. Coming to the certification agency, as I covered earlier, for all airborne systems, CEMILAC is the certification agency. And for all the ground systems, the certification agency is the respective BRD, whose expertise exists in that particular field. Now, the items can be classified as critical, non-critical, standard, non-standard. Basically, critical would mean anything that would risk the life of the person or the pilot on the aircraft. That item becomes critical in nature. Non-critical, of course, is not affecting the life of the individual. The standard item is an item whose tech specifications are available with us. And non-standard, of course, is the tech specifications of the item is not available with us. So as you can see in the tabular column, all critical and non-standard items, their process is indigenized through the certification agency CEMILAC. While all the other 3 demarcations, critical standard, non-critical and non-standard, the indigenization process is taken up through the respective BRD. In the BRD, there is something called an SRC. SRC stands for a Self-Reliance Committee. The Self-Reliance Committee consists of a group of officers from that particular BRD who certify that this equipment is non-critical, and the certification agency signatures are done by that particular SRC, a group of officers. I will be sharing some of the success stories of 9BRD now. First is development of a serial code simulator and a resistance box tester. This is basically a ground tester for the Su-30 aircraft. This comprises of a test panel for the resistance box, and this checks the fuel flow in the aircraft on ground. This has been indigenized by Messrs. Shrivante, Bangalore. This item was earlier costing 99 lakhs when we used to import it. However, the indigenization cost is 21 lakhs. Now, this is a modification of an existing vehicle for high altitude environment. This has been tested on 3 different classes of vehicles. That's the Scorpio, Swaraj Mazda 3 tonner, and Stallion 4 ton. This concept basically involves around preheating the engine by coolant heating and circulation, preheating the battery either through a hot air or silicon heating pads, and also warming the driver cabin and fuel tank. These are basically for high altitudes. This has been tested at Leh at temperatures of minus 40 degrees, and this has been found to be successful. This has been realized by Mr. Gurutwa, Pune itself, at a cost of 6 lakh rupees. Next is the Urja source for the high altitude, acronymed as USHA. This basically harnesses wind and solar energy to charge a 5.1 kVh battery through a hybrid charger and a universal output controller. This has got a solar charger also. It has got a wind turbine charger also to enable charging of the battery bank, basically. So it enables troops to operate communication equipment, including a LLWR class of radar. LLWR is basically a low-level, lightweight radar at high altitude and extreme temperatures up to minus 40 degrees centigrade. This also has been tested at Leh and Ladakh, and it has been found to be successful. This has been realized by Mrs. Raja Electronics, Pune, at a cost of approximately 6 lakh rupees. Next is Diwar. This is a low power GPS jammer. Basically, Diwar stands for, it's basically a drone interception wall and repulsion system. Drone interception wall and repulsion system. So basically, this is a low power GPS jammer, and this is used to protect against aerial threats directed towards disrupting operations and damaging our vital areas and vital points. In terms of Air Force parlance, our vital area can be the airfield, the runway, the taxi track where our aircraft are parked, and vital point can be our bomb dump, our armory where all our bombs and our equipment, firing arms are stored. So this has a coverage of 500 meters in height and 100 meters width, wherein a virtual jammer is created so that any drone cannot enter this particular area. The signals covered are L1 band 1.5 to 1.6 gigahertz, control channel of 433 and 915 megahertz. The video link is at 22.4 and 5.8 gigahertz. This has been realized by Messrs. Avgade, Bangalore, at a cost of 80,000 rupees per item, and we have already placed an order of 15 such prototypes. Next is an RF dome. This is basically a spoofing system. This is a passive electronic protection measure system. This protects against aerial threats directed towards any vital area and vital points. This has a capability of disrupting the operation and functioning of the rogue drones by injecting spurious pre-programmed control signals. This basically works along with the Diwar, wherein initially we have a wall formation so that the drone cannot enter, and if by chance it tries to enter, then the drone can be controlled using the spoofing signal and made to land safely inside or outside the airfield without damaging our vital area, vital point. This has been realized by Mrs. Avgade at a cost of 89 lakh rupees. Next, the PXI based modular AT. AT is automatic test equipment. So this is basically enables standardization and interoperability of AT with NI hardware and LabVIEW software. This builds expertise to design and develop ATs and build the program code for executing TPS. TPS is test program suites. This ensures portable solutions, ease deployment options, define development and production tasks, thus enhancing our productivity. This has been realized by Messrs. TMCS Pune at a cost of 99 lakh rupees. Now coming to the process of registration of firms in the Indian Air Force. Basically, all the unregistered firms are considered taking into account their infra facilities, tech competence, and financial standing. Firms willing to register with the IAF for design and development activities are to submit their credentials in the form of DPM 5, which is available in Defense Procurement Manual 2009. All prospective firms may approach 9BRD Pune, showcasing potential in undertaking development projects on email ID karamveera.indg@gov.in. This is basically 9BRD site for organization. Any firm who's interested may send an email on this particular email ID. After satisfactory capacity assessment by the inspection team from 9BRD, a firm is given registration number with a validity of 3 years. Renewal thereafter will be undertaken by the firm by approaching the concerned depot. The extension is given after considering number of successful development orders undertaken, inputs of the QA and procurement agencies within that span of 3 years. Coming to the future opportunities for the industry, which is available at 9BRD. So basically 9BRD is undertaking the following cases. We are upgrading the mission computer suite for the Su-30 aircraft. Basically all these items are pertaining to avionics. Then we are upgrading the blanking signal distribution unit, the BSDU of the Su-30 aircraft. We are setting up an instrumentation and prototyping lab. We are in the process of setting up an IPC standard repair facility at 9BRD. We are developing a PCB cloning facility. We are in the process of providing a painting chamber for our vehicles at our MT section. We are working on a project called remote calibration of test equipment, wherein using our internal network, any test equipment can be calibrated from one, keeping it at, for example, at 9BRD itself. We can remote calibrate it from any other Air Force station pan-India. Then we are developing a repair facility for the SAP EW pod, which is fitted on the Su-30 aircraft. We are also in the process of setting up an X-ray imaging machine lab. Then we have floated EOIs for close to 180 lines. These 6 projects are totally amounting to 180 lines of aggregates. This deals with various avionics aggregates also, and also repair and overhaul facilities. The details being indigenization of avionic aggregates of MiG-29, indigenization of repair and overhaul of avionics aggregates of IL-76, 78 and AVAX. The indigenization of repair and overhaul facilities of avionics aggregates of Su-30. Indigenization of avionics aggregates of AN-32. The indigenization of repair and overhaul of avionics aggregates of Mi-17. And indigenization and functional replacement of avionics aggregates of Mi-17 series. Mi-17, Mi-25, Mi-35. All 3 classes of choppers, helicopters. Then we are also in the process of indigenizing 25 testers of the Mirage 2000 aircraft. Basically, there are 25 testers which we have grouped into 6 different classes, rather 7 different classes. First is the engine control test set. Second is the fly-by-wire tester. Third is the integrated air data simulation and sensor tester. Fourth is the integrated anti-skid tester. Fifth is the integrated radio and IFF tester. Then is the weapon tester. And lastly is the instrument tester. All these are for the Mirage 2000 aircraft, for which the grouping has been done, and we are. Please focus on the technology rather than the product, because lots and lots of cases has in the past that has happened with the 9BRD is that we have got a product, our technology is not at par with what we have wanted. So please focus on the present technology. Once you focus on the present technology, your product will be exceptional. It has to be exceptional. So please focus on the technology. Next is, don't try to do everything yourself. For example, if you are in the process of, if you have got an order for a vehicle, so please don't try to make the chassis yourself, the tire yourself, the wheel hub yourself, the rubber parts yourself. Please tie up with other firms so that you get a quality in terms of each of these products. If you try to handle everything yourself, you will become mediocre in all of these things. Air Force is in the process of making our payment terms. Earlier it used to be only a fixed payment at the end of the year. Some of the complex items development goes up to 18 months to 24 months also. So earlier Air Force was only giving a lump sum payment at the end of the project after successful implementation. Now Air Force is already started off milestone based payment, wherein we do a 20, 30, 30, 20 kind of an arrangement, wherein at the development you get a 20%. This also depends on the project. It varies from project to project. I'm just giving an example, like in case you get a development after becoming the L1, so with the development order you get an advance of 20%. On reaching the first milestone, which is set in the RFP, you get 30%, second milestone another 30%, and finally the leftover 20% is given to you after the functional testing and LC issue. So we're working on that also. Please develop universal solutions so that it becomes easier for the Air Force also, rather than you developing one single tester for one particular equipment. Try and develop universal solutions. Adopt COTS items, like a recent case has been wherein we are in the process of releasing a memory unit for the Mirage 2000 aircraft. So it has got basically a 128 GB card along with it. So there are lots of hard disks available in the market which have a tolerance from -40 to +50 degrees, +70 degrees. So use these COTS items which are already certified, rather than you trying to develop it on your own. And lastly, Air Force has a strict policy of a no Chinese product allowing inside the Air Force. Because being a defense establishment, we do not deal with Chinese products at all. It is not acceptable at all. And because Chinese have lost their credibility with respect to their quality, of course, and with respect to the kind of int gathering they do. Case recently being that Taiwan had imported a few Chinese bulletproof jackets. Few means in terms of thousands. When further after the use of these jackets, when the life of 5 years was over, when these jackets were actually stripped open and sent to salvage is basically for destruction. So then they found a 3 gram GPS tracker placed on each of these BP jackets. 3 gram is this much, which is not even visible to an eye unless you open the jacket, strip it open completely and see. So they were basically monitoring the movement of the troops using this in Taiwan. So this is just an example of what Chinese do. So as far as Air Force is concerned, we are a strict no-no with respect to Chinese products. So finally, I would like to conclude by saying that the existing provisions to be harnessed to convert aspirations into reality. The Indian Air Force is prepared to embrace technology with out-of-the-box innovations from your side. The Indianization efforts have improved availability of spares and achievements, and actually they are very, very encouraging. The primary aim of self-reliance is still a work in progress, which is only possible with you holding hands with the Air Force. And better results are possible only through synergy among all concerned. So I would request you all to come on board and help Air Force in modernizing the obsolete equipment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the insights into the requirements of 9BRD. I would like to welcome Colonel Madhusudanan. He has got a very interesting designation, Indigenization Evangelist. He is with the Directorate of Indigenization, and he is Colonel Staff Duties in the Corps Headquarters. he has been associated with MCCI Defense Committee for a long time. I think you are, sir, now posted in Bengal. And he was kind enough to come and accept our invitation to just address the delegates today. Sir, please.
Very warm good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's very heartening to see such a large gathering because I have been involved with this indigenization process for the past 4 years, and we have been making a lot of attempts to be proactive to get the various industries get involved in the indigenization process. And I know how, along with the MCCA, we have been taking efforts in various areas so that the gap, the synergy takes place between the armed forces and the industry. In fact, I was sitting and going through, remembering my old days. All this group Captain Sriram, which he has displayed, these were all classified data during our, I hope you will vouch for that. These are all classified data for us, you know, which we ourselves, during when we used to study all this, we used to be told that nothing to be shared. But see the mindset difference now. We are just getting so much of proactive with the industry because that is the need of the hour now. Unless we get into synergy with the vendors or with the industry, the way ahead, the process is not going to finalize. So, in fact, every armed forces, every wing of the armed forces like Army, Air Force, Navy is taking a lot of efforts to get indigenization not only successful, but that is the only Atmanirbhar Bharat, the self-reliance, which will take India further. This is not a slogan, ladies and gentlemen. I would say that this is not a mere slogan. This is the need of the hour for us to march towards the next India at 2047. Unless we believe in this, we cannot achieve this. So we have always been taking efforts in all wings of armed forces. We have been taking efforts to get interactive army officers. We are sparing people now so that the interaction is there. These details which we are sharing with you just to create awareness about what is our requirement. Because we face difficulty. The industry is not aware of what we want. Unless you know what we want, you cannot produce what we want. So this is the first step towards that Atmanirbhar Bharat, where we want to tell you what we want. So I hope you people will take this opportunity and realize this potential. In fact, the Directorate of Indigenization, we have almost 4 wings now. We have a vehicle wing, we have engineering equipment, that is the specialist vehicles, we have electronics wing, and we have small arms wing. So we have 4 wings of development of indigenization. We are, in fact, I would say that earlier the indigenization process, right from RFP stage to the codification stage, used to take 7 years. But now we have reduced it to 2 years, almost 18 to 24 months, as he has rightly brought out. That is the level of efficiency which you have brought to streamlining the procedures, various procedures. In fact, I would say we call it the process of I to I. That is, innovate to indigenize. We want to innovate. We want to bring innovation in indigenization. Unless we innovate, there is no way ahead. So in innovation, when we speak of innovation, we also use a framework called QONE. That is questioning, observing, networking, and experimenting. We want to question each and every system, every process. That's how we have reduced the process of that indigenization from 7 years to 2 years. Because we always question the status quo. The mindset has changed now. So that is how we have crystallized a framework for indigenization process, ladies and gentlemen, I would say that. So everything is getting streamlined. Unless we are taking the step further, and now you have to take 2 steps further to make this process realized. I would say that this is not only a mere dream, this is going to be a vision with reality. In fact, I would say that Pune has always been a major military base, not only now, it has been for the past 400 years Pune has been a major military base. But now we want to crystallize into a modern military base. That's why we as a armed forces, we keep coming here, because we have all the infrastructure and we have all the facilities, both software and hardware facility here. Pune is such a place where we have lost out on many accounts, I would say that. In fact, we have lost the bus. That's why we want to create an awareness about with the industries, because both in the software and the hardware side, we have all the facilities to make defense manufacturing a reality. In fact, I don't know how many of you are aware the latest thing which is happening, ICET. Are you aware of that ICET? We want to make Pune as the hub of ICET, the Initiative for Critical and Emerging Technologies. That is the thing which is going to happen in the future, because warfare is not only based on only certain elements. We ourselves are experimenting. We are experimenting with theaterization of commands. We are experimenting with the synergization of various wings of armed forces. So ICET is going to play a pivotal role in the future development of warfare. So the industry also has to take note of that. Ladies and gentlemen, again, after all this pandemic and the Ukraine crisis, in fact, Shri Rajnath Singh, Honorable Minister, Defense Minister, made us a group this thing, on what are the implications of the Ukraine war. Then we found that $500 million of worth of spares, we are dependent on the erstwhile USSR. So that is the opportunity which is available. That is the opportunity available for indigenization of spares. I am not talking about the systems per se. It is only the spares which has lot of abundant potential for indigenization. Now, the indigenization is, people think that it is a reverse engineering. No, we have to design and develop the future systems, the future warfare systems. The indigenization is not only reverse engineering. We do what the people have already done. We do a reverse engineering. No, the new concept of indigenization is completely design and develop future warfare systems. That is the ICET, Initiative for Critical and Emerging Technologies. So it is not only China 1+ strategy which is the new way ahead. It is also the Europe 1+ strategy, which people say that India is going to fill the gap. So India is going to be a major provider of defense equipments. If in case you see, we have already given credit of defense equipments to all the neighboring countries, Maldives and all that. So how we develop these systems to not only provide a self-reliance in our country, but also, that's what, from Gide to Gede. That is the global, we were earlier global importer of defense equipments. That is Gide. Now we want to become the global exporter of defense equipments. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you will give a thumbs up to our vision, and you will all help us to make us a great reality of this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We can have a small question and answer session. Request all the dignitaries to come up on the dais. You too, sir. Sir, please. Ayun. Yeah. Mr. Patil. So, if anyone has any questions at the back, just speak into the mic so that you're audible.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for wonderful presentation. I want some information on CPSE-Level. What is it and how we have to go about it? Are there any parameters or any visit or something like that? Thank you.
Okay. Now, just a word about CPSE-Level. The CPSE-Level is the agency within India for certification of any airborne aggregate. Now, as mentioned by Wing Commander Mishra in his presentation, whenever we talk about any airborne aggregate, the airborne aggregates are basically classified in two different ways. The first way is criticality. We say whether the item is critical or non-critical. The next level of classification is whether the item is a standard item or a non-standard item. Now, any item which goes on an aircraft, CPSE-Level is the agency which will clear the item. Now, the way it works is that for any item which is critical and non-standard, there are a whole lot of processes involved where CPSE-Level comes into play. Now, what are the processes? That's probably is the question what you have asked. Okay. Now, I'll keep this very, very simple. Moment we or any other service organ or the IF, let us take an example, IF gives you and places a request for a proposal, RFP, to develop a product which is an avionic aggregate. The first and foremost thing what you would require as input is what are the operational requirement of the item. What is the qualification requirement of the item? Take qualitative requirement, not qualification, operational requirement and qualitative requirement. These are the two basic inputs which we as a user would give you. Now, once you have these inputs, based on these inputs, you need to start designing the item. So, the first step in your design would be that what would be my technical specification of the item? That means what you do is the OR and the QR, you translate into a technical specification. Okay, so that's the first document you create. We'll list out all the documents, then I'll tell you what is the role of the CPSE-Level. So the first document as a developer or as an agency who's going to develop the particular item would be that you generate the technical specification of the document. Now, once you generate the technical specification of the document, the next activity would be that what would be the processes you would adopt to validate your product. So the CPSE-Level calls this as an airworthiness certification plan. They call it the airworthiness certification plan. So you, having designed your item, having defined the technical specification, you will create another document called as airworthiness certification plan, wherein you will define as to what would be the ways you would adopt to certify or validate the item. Having done this, the next question would come is, how exactly we'll do it? Then you will define another document saying that what are the measures, tools, and the testers you'd use to validate all these requirements. So in essence, what you're trying to do is, you've generated technical specification of the document, you have designed the hardware, then you are creating a document to certify or validate. You're saying these are the metrics based on which you can test my item. And also you define saying that what are the tools, absolutely logic. So it doesn't matter whether it is airborne item or a ground-based item. What CPSE-Level does is, all these 4 documents, the CPSE-Level does its vetting and approval. That means each of these 4 stages, CPSE-Level comes into play. He will receive this document, he'll vet your document for you, he will recommend additions and changes. Just like RDS. So entire this process, that's where the CPSE-Level comes into play. Now, there is an apprehension in the industry when it comes to an airborne aggregate. General apprehension is that it's a long drawn process, because typically when you develop a ground-based system, the development cycle and fructification of the prototype probably gets over within a year's period or time, maximum year to year and a half. But the challenge comes in an airborne aggregate because the trend indicates that it's a long drawn process which runs into 4 years and 5 years. And this happens because there is no clarity in terms of what is required to be done. If we are clear, as I am clear as a user as to what I want, and you as a developer are clear as to what all you need to fulfill to enable the certification process, then this process is very, very quick, fast. Since we are not clear, the iteration which is involved in interacting with CPSE-Level and getting the necessary approvals, that's where the delay starts. So right now, since you have brought up this particular question, we are very conscious about this, and within the Indian Air Force, we have created a document called Code of Certification, wherein we have highlighted all these particular issues, And we are in the process of approaching CPSE-Level to create an environment where this certification process can be fast-tracked and it can be made more enabling. Simplified. We are trying to do that. And if you're really deeply interested in handling development work of avionics aggregate, I would strongly suggest read the IMTR document, IMTR 21 document. Although the English may sound very, very big and heavy, but I have given you a summary. The summary is very, very simple. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Sir, I would like to ask you one question. So in case you want to list out 5 areas where you are actively looking at something from the industry, say top 3 areas.
Okay. The 3 areas, he has limited the choice for me. I have a lot of areas. But anyway, let us make it very, very nice and simple, which is quite interesting and which motivates us. I will take a cue from what Wing Commander Mishra had presented in his slide. He had mentioned it in a particular slide saying that look for universal solutions. And there's a lot of business opportunity here. You may ask me how and why. Let me just throw a question and let me check the response. Then probably I'll tell you as to what can be done. All of us are predominantly aware and we have a reasonably good appreciation, engineering appreciation about what kind of assets we have not only in the Indian Air Force, Indian Army, Indian Navy as well. Let us pick up one particular segment. Say we talk about any communication equipment or a navigation equipment. What do you think lies at the core of these equipment? What is at the heart of these communication and navigation equipment? Can just somebody, in case they want to participate in this discussion, I'll wait for 1 minute, otherwise I'll throw the answer out.
PCBs.
Just please go ahead, sir. Okay, data security, encryption. Any other answer? Communication and navigation equipment, what is at the heart of it? Transmitter, receiver, very close. Something closer than that. Satellites, okay. ICs. Okay, I'll pick up the closest answer. The closest answer is transmitter and receiver. So what we need to understand here is, be it a communication equipment or an navigational equipment, at the core is a particular hardware which can generate an RF signal for me. At the core is a hardware which can receive an RF signal for me. Yes or no? Okay, now look at the challenges what each one of our services faces. The plethora of communication equipment available, plethora of navigation equipment available, each one produced by one particular OEM, independently designed. But in terms of what each of these equipment can do, they all do the same thing. Now bring in the flavor of what Mishra had presented to you. We are looking at universal solution. Can you think of a universal solution? I've given you a problem statement. Can you people think of a universal solution? Easy interface, anything else? Don't lose focus. I have built the topic for you from the start. I'm just trying to help you to reach. I would like to see, because both sir had mentioned about innovation. Even he had mentioned about innovation. Let me see how many of you are innovative in your thinking. Who said that? He says SDR because he has been interacting with it. Not, I'll give you that much. Mandar has been in association with us for a very long time. So he understands the pulse of 9BRD, but notwithstanding that, very good answer. Imagine the power and capability of an SDR. A software-defined radio, the way you program it, can generate any RF signal you require. It can process any RF signal you require. Imagine a scenario that for all the plethora or variety of communication equipment I have, predominantly procured from foreign OEMs, I have an indigenous solution wherein no matter which is the equipment, I have a replacement in place which is built around an SDR. What and how would Air Force or Indian Army or Indian Navy benefit? Let me look at an answer for this. I hope I'm making it interesting. If it's delaying in taking your time, then I'll stop it. No, I'm just trying to kindle that innovative spirit. What do you think Air Force would benefit, or Indian Army would benefit, or Indian Navy would benefit? And how would it benefit? Come again? Interoperability, fantastic. Anything more than that? Fantastic. Inventory management. Look at my headache. That means I don't have to handle a wide variety of inventory. I can focus on one particular inventory, which is capable of doing the job in this particular communication equipment, that navigate, be it whatever it is. And the best part is, now the next flavor you bring into it, he also mentioned about COTS. So imagine a scenario where I have a COTS technology available for an SDR as a replacement option for my all range of communication and navigate equipment. Literally, I have handled in one stroke all my future requirement in terms of obsolescence management, ensuring interoperability, and lean inventory. This is innovative thinking. So in case we are going to come up with many opportunities in, for example, he had not brought out in this particular presentation. We are looking at developing an SDR-based handled communication equipment which can replace the personal communicators which are available. Motorola GP338s, 328s, not restricted to data, but having the capability of exchanging voice, data, and video simultaneously. This is an opportunity which will be available in the form of an RFP, which will come out maybe maximum 2 weeks time from now. So interested people can make use of this opportunity and bid for this particular project. That's okay? Okay, only one I said?
Oh, it was a good brainstorming actually.
This is the kind of innovation we are looking for.
The most difficult thing is, thinking. That's what they say. The
Think.
most difficult thing in life is thinking.
Yeah, we can take
one more opportunity.
Yeah.
One more
Yeah,
opportunity.
sure.
One more opportunity. See, here we talk about universality. That means I'm looking at universal COT solution. Mishra had also mentioned about testers. He mentioned about Mirage 2000 testers. 25 different testers needed to be automated, replicated, and integrated. And we are looking at using some standard hardware which can be uniform for all the testers. See, when we said 25, he mentioned we're looking at developing solution for 25 testers using only 6 separate testers. And within these 6 separate testers, we are saying that the hardware should be same. Is it possible? Manda Joshi will not answer this question. Is it possible? I'm just asking this question. Is it possible?
Please respond either yes, no, maybe.
It is, believe me, it is possible because we have already done a project. We have done a similar exercise for 30 odd testers of Su-30 fleet, wherein for all those 30 testers, we have identified 6 sub-testers. In all these 6 sub-testers, the hardware architecture is exactly the same. And the desired functionality of that particular tester has been realized using software control. Essentially, what we have done is we have used PXI-based instruments and LabVIEW as a software tool to do the hardcode coding. And it is possible. So we're looking at these kind of solutions. That's it.
Is there a site or SPOC with whom industry can connect to know the requirements of 9BRD?
The SPOC is his truly Wing Commander Mishra, and we had discussed about the site. Yeah. Okay, what right now we don't have a dedicated site which is open to the public, but what we have in working arrangement with Prashant sir, wherein we have decided that whatever are our requirements, we'll update them with you
Right.
on a monthly basis, you in
Right.
turn probably can
Connect with
share
the
it.
industry.
Connect
Yeah.
with the industry. So start with, we can do that.
Thank you. So, yeah, please. Just speak in the mic so that you're audible.
Good afternoon. I would like to redirect your question to the honorable representative from Indian Army. Which will be your 3 priorities?
Uh, In fact, every wing of the armed forces have their own priorities, right? If in case different, you know. Have you ever dreamt of armored vehicles being utilized in Ladakh? Have you ever dreamt that armored vehicles will be just going on flanks towards the Chinese borders? We never dreamt. We never envisaged that scenario. But last year it was. We were in fact forced to take our all our armored vehicles to the altitude of 13,000, 14,000 meters. Huh? Exactly. That's what I'm telling. So the opportunities are galore. In fact, if you say FICV, Future Infantry Combat Vehicles, we want tanks to be agile, flexible, interoperability. We were talking of interoperability. This is what we want. We want design and develop future warfare systems where we can take on, like if in case I think that I have to take to Andaman Nicobar Islands just from Ladakh, how quickly I can, how agile I can pick up my systems and go there. You know, this is what we are looking at. Drones. Earlier, we used to carry our rations through mules and through porters. Can you ever imagine now, it is just done in 30 seconds. Drones takes all our rations, now we are increasing our capacity. You know, the load carrying capacity. So the future warfare is, we are like drones are important, you know, that is going to change the entire warfare techniques. And secondly, how many of you heard of cobots? We are into cobots, collaborative robots. Each and every, in case, India is the only country where we have diverse terrains. No other country in the world has such a terrain. We are the only country, we are having all types of terrain, name it, jungle, forest, deserts, high altitude, name it, anything, plains, built-in area, anything. We are the only country we are having. That's why US people are coming and practicing mountain warfare in Auli. You know, this is the land of opportunity. It is not USA, ladies and gentlemen, I would say that. So, future infantry combat vehicle, future drones, cobots, collaborative robots, we want to man each and every inch of our land. That is difficult with our manpower. With cuts, we are sorry, we are downsizing our armed forces. We are downsizing our armed forces to the, you know, with various this thing. So what is the other alternative? We want to go for cobots, collaborative robots, where we can like all these transmitters, receivers, sensors, which senses the each and every area of the land and translates the input into this thing. So these are the areas. Warfare, gentlemen, warfare is always evolving. If in case you see, it is not static. It is always dynamic, and this will keep on changing, this will keep on evolving. So these 3 core areas, this tomorrow, again what I say is, today's technology is tomorrow's obsolescence. So it's not that what we, now we think of today cobots may be different in just in 2-3 years of time. There might be new technology developed. That's what, even every even developed world, even super developed world also thinking that in those lines only, that we have to keep on evolving with tech. So again, like what sir has rightly brought out, you know, thinking, tinkle your thinking power, that is what we always, we also used to tell people like because thinking is the most critical and the most difficult part in a human being. So unless we think, we cannot innovate. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Also, sir, the ADB comes out regularly with problem statements, so people can also refer to that.
Yeah. That's what. So again, we have lot of agencies coming out. We are so much of into proactive, approach to technology development fund. DRDO is, DRDO is always worked in silos, worked in isolation. But now DRDO is partnering with various industries. Please, yeah.
Hello. Hello. Yes, sir. Very good morning, and thanks for all the session and your guidance. So I heard from Navy side that Air Force side that for any systems, no, it is similar like when it is coming. For any development, it is taking 5 years time. Correct. Now you guided us that technology is changing, and you need to match the technology. What is my problem I want to share you as a MSME? If we are developing any product like sensor for any systems, maybe for RF communication or any position sensor, and if it is taking 5 years, and after 5 years, now you are saying the technology is changing, 2 years, 3 years, but for a MSME who is putting so much efforts and which is having 10-20 crore turnover, and after 5 years, if that project is going to get the business, and now if that technology will get outdated, or if that specific, maybe Navy or Air Force, if they don't get order for that program, then how that MSU will have sustainability?
Okay.
Ideally, government rep should have been here.
No, it's okay, it's okay. I'll This is definitely a pain point which most of the industry partners are facing, and we as user also, we are aware of this pain point. It's not that it is not known. ठीक है. But what we want to submit and we want to just impress upon is the fact that let us look at the process. Let us take an example that you as an MSME managed to get an order to develop a particular item. The very fact that we had placed an RFP and we'd gone through a tendering process to develop a particular item states that or shows that there is a definite intent to use this as a solution for ourselves. Now, once an item is developed, I am not going to revisit this particular item for a development effort till such time I end up as a user in a case of technological obsolescence. Therefore, it's very, very important that you as a developer, when you provide a solution, invest on a technology which will be available in the market. Now, if you have carefully observed the presentation made by Wing Commander Pritesh Mishra, we have been very cautious to throw certain jargons. I'll say jargons. We definitely use a word called COTS. Okay, we definitely said about universal. If I'm an entrepreneur, unfortunately I'm not. I'm in a government service. If I had been an entrepreneur, I will try to develop and give a solution to the user, that is, we as a user, around a technology which will always have a permeance. And normally I give this example to people who come and visit us and spend some time with me. All of us are aware of IoT. Through IoT, many practical applications can be developed and can be used also. When you talk about IoT, all the youngsters will say the first IoT device, what they will just throw out, they'll say Raspberry Pi. A Raspberry Pi is a single board computer which costs maybe 4,000 rupees, 4,500 rupees. 5 years back, there was a Raspberry Pi version 1. But today we are talking about Raspberry Pi version 4. And tomorrow there will be Raspberry Pi version 5, version 6. There is a dedicated user community available for Raspberry Pi, and that will always be there. And we're talking about an example of single board computer. When I want to realize an application out of Raspberry Pi, actual application I'm realizing using a software. That means my functional requirement of my end solution is being achieved through a software. The instrument being used is a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi, I'm just throwing an example. Please take it as an example. For whatever technological obsolescence reason, today Raspberry Pi 4 is not available. But tomorrow there will be Raspberry Pi 5 available. And all the software, whatever I've written, is generally compatible. That means whatever software I have written for Raspberry Pi will be available and can be reused for Raspberry Pi 5 as well. In case you focus a solution in such a way, in this way, your interest is protected and my interest is also protected. Because I'm never in a situation where I'll be ending up in a technological obsolescence. Therefore, when you innovate and when you propose a solution, propose an architecture which will have its longevity, minimum 10 years, minimum 20 years. And preferable COTS. COTS gives you advantage. That's why we insist COTS technology. Somebody spoke about Semilac. Probably you yourself have spoken about Semilac. Although I had not planned to say this, that was the third opportunity. Yeah, you want to say something? Yeah, please say.
Yeah, sir, I'm having another question. Now you talk about IoT and Raspberry Pi, correct? But, and you said that Raspberry Pi is now, different versions are coming, correct? And we are also, as an electronics background, we are also developing few products on different microcontroller and programming. So what is the issue in India, what I can see? Even that R&D team is having guts to develop this solution with a universal solution they want to offer. But yes, Raspberry Pi is common, and in engineering, people are getting that education and developing this, correct? Earlier it was microchip, now you are talking about Internet over things over Raspberry Pi. But the issue is, if I am having any other hardware program, correct? So I have seen, now I am working with one customer where he is asking for Allegro programmer, correct? But that delivery is more than now 8 months. So if I took that project to give universal solution, but the major issue is India, there is lot of developers are there, software we are growing, correct? And our team is, intelligent team is there. But on hardware side, that support is not there because we are not having that much fab, correct? So again, we are dependent on USA or European countries, and parts are coming from the Singapore. If I have took this order to complete within first proto, for initial 10 weeks or T0 sample as per government norms within 10 weeks, if I will not deliver, that late charges will be there, or LD charges will be there. So even we are having universal solution, and I have invested in manpower, that kind of manpower, whether I will be get benefited. So solutions are there. That's what I am talking. When it comes to the sustainability of the business to the MSAB, having even that brain and manpower, again, we need to work with your team only to avoid the late charges, LD charges.
Okay. Whatever you have said, I'm in total agreement with you. I'm not denying any part of it. What we need to understand is it's a teamwork. I, as a user, I need to hold your hand. You, as a developer, need to come up with a solution. Now, talking about what you had mentioned, I'll tell you an example. Example would be that that was the third priority item. We, on our part, we are very clear. When I float an RFP, or when we float an RFP, we will exactly tell you as to what we want. And we'll keep it so open that you should be in a position to deliver the product what you want. Now, coming to the part that holding the hand, LD clauses. Now, it's a two-way traffic. If you are at the right hands, and the example would be 9BRD, you won't have any problem. Because I have spent 4 years in this particular depot, and we have executed many projects. If I have to give you an example straight away. There is one example here in former Mandar Joshi, who was earlier working with TMCS, and now he has switched to Dialog. Yeah. We started with a project called building a modular AT. Now, just a bit of a word on modular AT. ATs are being used across all the establishments, and all the ATs, the way they are some kind of an, it's a kind of a black box as to you don't know what is happening inside, but there's only a GUI front end available for you to tap and use it. So we wanted to break this. We said, let us develop an AT which is totally open. We should be able to know and understand each bit of the AT, how the AT works in terms of how it communicates to the DUT, the coding. And that's how this modular AT project was initiated. The modular AT project contract was awarded 2 years back. And the project has been concluded only around 3 months back. And if somebody can go talk to TMCS, they'll say there was no LD clauses applied against them. So please understand that there are ways and means to handle this as well. And to bring the rabbit out of the hat, the easiest way in my case, how did I do it? You may ask me, how did you manage to do it? Okay, this is a mantra I'll tell you. You can use it when you're dealing with any of the BRDs or government establishments, but don't quote my name. The auditor, the agency within our setup who looks into how, when to release the payment, he looks at, has the RFP clauses been honored or not? The RFP says the product needs to be delivered within 6 months. Fair enough. I ensure that the product is delivered in 6 months. I gave a certificate saying the product has been delivered. Then I said, product has been delivered, but there are certain improvements required. What is required? Some improvements required. Product has been delivered. So the audit agency looks at product has been delivered, the LD clause doesn't apply. For me, improvements are required, which is my requirement. I said, I want this improvement. It is customer defined. I'm the customer, no? I'm telling you, I want this improvement. The improvement happened for 1.5 years. So, sir, the answer is that it's a two-way street. If you're in the right hands, your interest will be looked after, but I cannot guarantee. But it is possible. See, ultimately it's teamwork. I'm in a need. I don't have the bandwidth to innovate and think and do the R&D. I can do my initial thinking, but we are looking towards you people to deliver a solution. If you are honest, but one thing I can assure, if you are honest and sincere in what you are doing, let me give you the assurance, no sane person will not think of not supporting you. There will be people to support you. Display that honesty, display the integrity, be assured, we in service, we honor this values very, very dearly. Loyalty, integrity is something which is supreme for us, and we'll reward it, and we'll reward that. With that, I will submit my case, sir. I hope it satisfies and addresses your concerns. MSME, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll take one last question, then. Here's Bharti
My
from asking
question is to both. I mean, all of you. I hear that. I mean, when you, when a firm registers as a vendor for you, you actually have certain criteria which it should meet. Now, I'm a very small firm, and actually we are. If I have to maybe take an incubation assistance to really deliver some of your requirements, is it acceptable as per your policies, or maybe you don't work with incubated firms?
Can you just repeat?
I mean, for example, if I'm in order to deliver some of your requirements, if I'm taking assistance from some incubation center, is it acceptable as per your policy? Because I mean, the firms that are in incubation may not really have all the kind of quality standards and other processes set as any well-established firms might have?
No, no, no. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. We have we are working with the SPPU. Savitri
Yeah.
University itself is having a incubation center where we have defense agencies have what to say incubated with them, and the defense startups we are incubating with them only. So there is no need for you to worry about on that aspect whether I'm a small organization or a big organization. No, we want to develop with even startups now. The defense 500 defense tech startups we are working on with, and in fact the future is deep tech. I don't know whether you people are aware. Deep tech. We are going to deep tech, and the technology incubated startups. Like we had already one meeting with the SPPU incubator. Yeah. So there is one defense incubator there in SPP also. So you can tie up with them. We are giving a level playing field for all, whether it's a startup or whether it's a big organization.
Thanks. Mandar, last word.
I just want to add one thing.
Oh.
Just want to add one thing. It's only an advice. Don't have questions. Don't have doubts. Be bold and say you are doing it. How you do it, none of our concern. For us, the product should be there, and the product should meet the quality requirement. How you do it, hush hush.
Thank you, sir. I would like to take this opportunity from industry.
Just hold it closer to your mouth. So that
Hello, I hope I am audible. Yeah, so I would like to take this opportunity from the industry forum to congratulate and thank Group Captain Sriram and BRD team. This was the first project for TMCS where we got into some challenges, and due to there were some problems delivering in the courts and overall system. The solution got delayed, but I think they really made us comfortable in that way. We able to concentrate on our goals and timely we deliver the system as per their expectation, and that is how the hand in hand contribution, or what I say, the solution was really worked. And I must thank Sriram sir and BRD team with, from my heart. Really thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandar. So now we would like to, sir, present a small moment to you all. Thanks for spending your time with us, and a very engaging question and answer session. So the session is now formally closed. I would like to request the dignitaries to kindly visit the exhibits as well. Especially the stall holders, kindly be in your places. We'll be coming over soon. Cheers.